Our next guest is coming on the show fresh off a 54-second destruction of Andrei Arlovski at UFC 195. It's a pleasure to welcome one of Cleveland's favorite sons, Stipe Miocic, back to Submission Radio. Stipe, welcome to the program.
Hey guys, what's going on?
It's always a pleasure to have you back on the show, Stipe. You know, big victory. You're a big guy. We always compare you to Steve Austin. Let us ask you, after that big win over Andrei Arlovski, deserves a big celebration. How many Stipe wises did you have after the event?
It was a rough night. It was a rough night.
Really?
Oh yeah, I was struggling. I drank a lot.
Well, someone on Twitter asked if you were hungover, and you said, hell yes. Was this hangover the type where you woke up with a tattoo on your face, a tiger in your bathroom?
Yeah. That's usually how it ends up anywhere, if it's Vegas or Cleveland.
Wow. You know what? It kind of makes sense because you're Croatian, and we know the Europeans like to drink, but you're such a laid-back guy. We didn't picture this. Is this a stock standard Stipe Miocic post-fight celebration? Is this after every fight you go and you have a big night out?
Yeah, it usually depends. It just depends how I feel, if it was a war, it might have been a little bit different, But I was only, 54 seconds, so it was a good night and it was done early.
Just quickly, because I know it would have been a blur, but what would be the biggest highlight from that night? A bar that you went to, a conversation that you had, a moment that you had possibly with your family or friends? What stands out to you from that night?
Yeah, just, doing that and then coming backstage and, see my fiance walk back there and just give me a big hug, it was just amazing. And just all of us hugging each other, our coaches, and it was awesome.
Oh, I can imagine. Now, before we get into the victory, let's talk about another battle that every man in every relationship goes through every year, Christmas. Now, you're recently engaged, man, who's, one of the top fighters in the world, so we believe the stakes would be high. And even though, you had a fight soon afterwards, we know that when the girlfriend says, no gift is fine, it really means you better get me something or I'm going to, cut your nuts off. How did you go getting your fiance a gift, and what was it?
I didn't get her anything.
Really?
Wow. Yeah, she said no. She said no. We made a deal because we're saving up for the wedding.
How much trouble did you get into for that one, Stipe?
Oh, not at all. No, not at all. I didn't get any trouble. I'm getting her a purse, but that had nothing to do with Christmas. It's just a little thing I do for her every flight. I get her a nice little purse that she wants. So, but yeah, we didn't get anything for Christmas, because we're trying to save most of our money for the wedding. We don't do any crazy spending and just do anything dumb. So we're just making sure we have all the money.
Mm.
Let me ask you something. What does it look like when a big heavyweight like Stipe goes into a purse shop and goes purse shopping for his girlfriend? I mean, I imagine you did this by yourself without her to surprise her.
The one time I did.
Did you try it over your shoulder and have a look in the mirror just to sort of picture what it would look like?
Yeah, I did a little walk, little catwalk run, a little spin around, head tilt, leg up, kind of that thing. And then I was like, this is perfect. This is what she loves. And I grabbed it.
That's a whole episode of UFC embedded right there. Let us ask you, was it tough doing all these Christmas dinners and, New Year's Eve celebrations without being able to really enjoy the food? And also with, Arlovski kind of looking like the Russian version of Santa Claus with his beard, did it stop you from enjoying the festivities?
Oh, not at all. I mean, listen, I don't mind not drinking. It's okay, and everyone else can have fun, drink. It's fine. I mean, I'm just happy to be with family and friends and just having a good time. And, I love food, man. Food's a good thing.
When you saw Santa Claus, though, was it a direct connection to Andrei Arlovski because he has a beard as well? And did that put you off Santa Claus?
He has a great beard, man. I'm jealous of him, actually. I wish I could grow my beard. I had a beard for a little bit when I hurt my back because I couldn't work or anything like that. But I was kind of jealous. I'm not gonna lie. Yeah, his beard, he has a good beard.
Yeah, it's a pretty sweet beard. Before we go on, Stipe, we got to know, do you know what Festivus is, and have you ever celebrated it before?
No. Festivus?
It's a Seinfeld thing. It's like an alternate version to Christmas. There's an airing of grievances. It's fun. There's also feats of strength, so I think it's right up your alley.
Okay, I'll check it out.
Well, we were perusing your Twitter in the middle of the night, as one does, and we saw a tweet from a guy called Matty Cleveland where he said, random guy stops us in the lobby of the MGM Grand because I'm wrapping a Cleveland T-shirt, and it turns out to be Stipe Miocic.
Yeah.
Is this true? Did you go and actually stop this guy and was like, hey, man, you're from Cleveland, I like your T-shirt? Did you do this?
Yeah, definitely. And yeah, I took a picture of him and everything. I actually had a huge stain in my shirt from the night before, which I didn't realize I did. So, it was a good time. But yeah, super good deal. We were just sitting there bullshitting, just talking, and he's coming to hang out in Vegas, and I was getting coffee thing for the fiance. I was just saying, what's up, man? I was like, sweet shirt.
So just to clarify, because a lot of your fans listen to this show, Next time they go to the event, they should probably rep some kind of Cleveland t-shirt, and there's a good chance you might speak to them if you run into them.
Oh, 100%. There's no question I will.
What kind of t-shirt would they have to wear for you just to completely ignore them?
Like a Steelers one.
All right, well, let's talk about shenanigans for a second, because if people didn't watch UFC Embedded, there were a few shenanigans. In one of the episodes of the Embedded vlog, you guys were at the firehouse with your buddies from the obviously the firefighter crew. And this was an episode leading into UFC 195. Now, when one of your buddies, Jimmy, I believe his name was, left the room, I think he got some olive oil of all things and put it, I think it was in his water.
Yeah. It was Crisco and balsamic vinegar. It was my buddy Jamie, and I stuffed a bunch of ice in there, and 'cause, I had to get him. We usually do that to each other, so I think he got me last time, so I had to get him, something. So that's what I got him with.
Did he wait till the camera sort of went off, and then he had a sort of bit of a chat with Stipe behind the scenes, like, "Hey man, come on, not on the camera."
Oh, no, not at all. No, he was like, I can still taste it in my mouth. That was awesome.
The Stipe Miocic cocktail. You went for a high five to ease the blow after Jimmy, drank the water with the delicious Crisco and the balsamic vinegar, but he just walked by. There's actually a high percentage of ignored high fivers in the US alone. How do you deal with that?
Then I ball tap him.
You ball tap him?
I go high and I swing around and go low if they don't give me a high five.
Do you lose confidence in your high five abilities for the future? Does this affect you? Do you high five people in the future, or are you still gonna go out there and put a brave face on and high five in the future?
I'm high five till I die.
All right,
I don't know if you saw me walking out of the octagon. There was a security guard having a hand up, and I gave him high five as I walked out.
There you go. And you high five John Morgan from MMA Junkie as well. We noticed these things. Let's talk about the big fight. You came out, you knocked Arlovski down at the start of the fight. Even though we know that visualization is sort of a big part of the game, big part of you might have expected a bit longer of a fight because, obviously Arlovski's recent resurgence. What was the first thing that went through your mind when you saw him, laying on the ground?
I caught him with a good right hand, and I saw him stumble, and I said, "The guy finishing now. He's hurt. I could tell because he backed straight up, and it's something we worked on. The whole camp. The minute he backs up, that's when we attack. And he backed up, and I caught him some good punches, and thank God the fight ended."
Well, after the fight, you ran over to Dana, who was lucky there was a cage between you two, as you explained to him, in not so many words, that you wanted the next title shot very loudly. Usually, you're a pretty quiet guy. What made you want to run over to the boss twice and do that?
I'm showing that I deserve it. I show I'm ready for it. I'm ready. I'm definitely capable of fighting for a title.
What? Oh, of course, sure. Why did you run back and yell through the cage again, though? Because you did it once, you did it, and then you walked off, and then you came back, did it again. Did you feel like once wasn't enough, and you had to make yourself even clearer?
Yeah, I just want to get my point across. Let them know I was, wasn't messing around. Just not for show. I was being serious. It was more personal than anything,
Yeah, was it anything to do with the phone conversation that you had with him previously, where he said he didn't feel like you weren't popular enough for a title shot yet?
Yeah, 100%.
The UFC obviously wanted you to get more popular. It was one of the biggest moments of the pay-per-view, and Twitter blew up afterwards. Given the fan reaction, do you feel like you're now popular enough and you've accomplished, what the UFC wanted?
Yeah, I think the feedback's been great. I think everyone thinks I deserve it. I think it worked out well.
Well, Joe Rogan said he was scared for his life interviewing you after the fight. Giving Joe Rogan a bit of a scare, did you have a bit of a laugh with him afterwards?
Yeah, I didn't talk to him after, but so he had a nice shirt on. I said, "It's a nice shirt." So I just kept it going the whole night there. I'm like, "Hey man, it's a nice shirt you're wearing."
It's all about the shirts with you, I feel like. This is a big opening line for Stipe. When you were single, I feel like you approach a lot of women with a shirt line if they were wearing one.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it was terrible, right?
Now, we know that when we do a show or a big interview, the girlfriends might watch it and give their opinion. Usually it's something like, why'd you make that face? Or you don't usually say that type comments. We're curious, what did the fiance say about, your intensity after the fight?
She loved it. She's like, "I was so proud of you. It's about time you opened up like that and showed everyone who you were."
This girlfriend of yours, this fiance of yours, no presents for Christmas, supports your intensity. This is a real catch, man. I'm really impressed. You were so worked up afterwards, and it looked like you were expecting a war, and it got cut short. What did you do with all that extra energy backstage, and how long did it take you to sort of get back to your regular self?
I was good when I got backstage. I was just happy to see everyone on that team. My fiance and Jessica, they walked back, and we were hanging out, and we were just shooting shit, having fun, busting balls, and then we went out to my coach's best friend's restaurant down in Vegas, and ate a bunch of food and then, turned down for what?
What? Yeah, of course. What's the restaurant called, just out of curiosity?
Giuseppe's.
Giuseppe's. Shout out to Giuseppe's. Joe Rogan on the mic basically said that unless you get hit by a meteor, you're next in line for a title. You said, knowing my luck, I probably will. Is there still part of you that feels like you might somehow get overlooked for a title shot?
I mean, who knows? I mean, I hope not. I mean, I definitely think I'm deserving of it, and it shouldn't happen like that. But I don't I don't want to think about that. I'm thinking about the positive. I'm getting the next shot.
Well, other than that handshake at the press conference and Dana saying that the two of you are on the same page, have you had any other conversations with Dana since then to lock in that next title shot?
No, but I mean, I think my manager's been talking to him, so.
Okay. Well, Stipe, we know that people have been asking you over and over and over and over again who you'd like to fight more, Werdum or Cain. Well, people don't realize that there's actually a lot more that you could do with Cain and Werdum apart from just fight them. So we've come up with a bit of a would you rather in a few different scenarios that, we'd like you to answer. It's a bit like word association, and we'd like you to take it very seriously, please. Are you ready?
Yeah.
All right. If you had to hang out with either Werdum or Cain in a bar and have a few beers, who would it be?
I can't. I don't know. I wouldn't be hanging out in a barn.
No, not a bar, not a barn, a bar, like where drinks are served.
A bar.
Yeah.
I think I don't know. Good question. I mean, probably Cain because I probably understand him a little bit better.
Yeah.
If you had to go rock climbing with either Werdum or Cain, who would it be?
I'd go with Werdum because he's longer.
If you had to fight either Werdum or Cain for the last parking spot at a shopping mall, who would it be?
I would take Uber. I wouldn't even mess with it.
If you had to go T-shirt shopping with either Werdum or Cain, who would it be?
Werdum because we're like the same size, so I could just borrow his shirts.
If you had to go on a date and you had an earpiece with either Werdum or Cain feeding you lines like on so many TV shows, who would it be?
Probably Cain because he's already married, so he knows how the game is.
If you had to fight either Werdum or Cain in an epic game of ping pong, who would it be?
That's a tough one. I feel like Werdum would be really good, so I'll probably go with Cain.
If you had to sing karaoke with either Werdum or Cain, who would it be?
Cain.
If you had to go camping with either Werdum or Cain in some sort of desolated part of the world, who would it be?
I think Werdum.
If you had to fight Werdum or Cain in a game of Tekken on PlayStation, who would it be?
I will go Werdum because I don't know if you've ever played that game. I'm pretty sure Cain has.
Well, you mentioned saving up for the wedding. If you had to hire a wedding planner and it came down to Werdum or Cain, who would it be?
Probably Cain because he's married, so his wife would help him.
Yeah, that's true. If you needed life advice, who would you ask, Werdum or Cain?
Probably Cain again because, like I said, he's married to the family and all that,
Finally, if you had to fight either Werdum or Cain, who would it be?
I don't care. Nice try, though.
We couldn't get you. We almost had you. Oh man, wow.
It needed more buttering up. I think that's where
we're going to add more questions into it. It's going to be the whole interview next time you come on. It's just going to be who would you rather.
Oh yeah, no. I mean, I wouldn't care. I have the best coaches in the world, so whoever it is, it is.
And
is it sort of more of a diplomatic answer? Because we know you're a nice guy, you're a polite guy, or is it actually the fact that you seriously don't care who it would be? You're not just trying to be nice. You actually do not care who's
I
there.
don't care. I do not care.
In saying that, is it because you're that confident? You feel like you can beat either Werdum or Cain, regardless of who shows up and who you're going to be fighting. You're happy to beat either guy.
Yeah, I like the best coaches in the world. I have so much confidence in them, it's ridiculous.
Well, Stipe, let me ask you. We suppose asking you this question on who's winning the fight may have the same answer, but what do you think? Who wins between Werdum and Cain in this rematch? If you sort of put on your analyst hat, or you were like an armchair expert like me and Casper, who do you think wins it?
It's a tough call because it's not in Mexico. It's Cain's gonna come back hungrier. He lost his belt. He wants his belt back. But Werdum, he's been on a roll, man. He's been shutting everyone down, and I think it's gonna be a totally different fight than it happened last time. So I'm pretty interesting to watch.
Do you think that's partly because of obviously now they're not going to be fighting in Mexico at altitude? I mean, when it first happened, a lot of people were talking about it and some were sort of dismissing it like, only people on the internet say that. But now it's actually part of the marketing for UFC 196. Do you think that's going to make a big difference?
Yeah, who knows? I don't know. We'll see. I've never fallen at altitude, so I can't say that, So it should be interesting. I'm really excited to watch that. I'll be there.
Are you an MMA fan? Like, if you weren't a fighter in the UFC, would you be watching the fights regularly every weekend, like all the fans do?
Oh yeah, or I still do. Even being fighting, I fight UFC, I still watch it. But yeah, if I wasn't, I still definitely watching the fights.
We
Because
get
it's one of those fights. Sorry to cut you off, Cass. Because it's one of those fights where it's very interesting for fans. Like, no one knows what's going to happen. So, is there a part of you that's just going to be watching this fight from a fan's perspective and not a fighter's
Oh,
perspective?
I always do that. The minute the fight's over, that's when I go in. Okay, that's what I'm gonna be fighting.
Sure. Well, we're going to ask you, Stipe. Alistair Overeem's currently going through some negotiations with the UFC, and apart from what we're guessing is more money, a title shot is probably something that he'll be using as a bargaining chip. Although Dana has said that your next man in line for a title shot, if they re-sign Overeem in a big contract to stop him from going to say Ryzen or Bellator, they'll want to get some money back on their investment while Overeem's sort of still on a hot streak. I'm just wondering, is there any part of you that worries they might give him the title shot instead of you? I know you want to think positive. It's just that we've seen it happen with Miesha Tate, with Ronda Rousey. You've done it before.
Yeah, I mean, that's always in the back of my mind. But I think I'm more deserving. Overeem's super tough. He's a tough guy. He's been on a little streak, but I definitely feel like that I am more deserving than he is.
Well, let me sort of explore that for a second, because far be it from me to question you, but you say you're more deserving. What do you think makes you more deserving for that title shot?
Well, I just, I fought, I fought last three guys I fought are top 5 in the world. And he's got 3 guys behind him that knocked him out in the first round.
Yeah, certainly. If it does come to a situation where you have to wait for a title shot, would you take another fight? Or would it be a situation where you tell Dana, look, I've earned it, and I won't fight until I get the next title shot?
Yeah, I would love that. Just play by ear, and I will see what happens. But I want that shot.
Stipe, we'll let you go in just a moment. We really appreciate your time. Just a couple more questions. One of them being, what sort of time frame are you looking, at that title fight? And are you a little bit bummed that you'll most likely miss out on the UFC's Croatian event, the first Croatia event, which just got announced for April 10th?
Yeah, I'd definitely be bummed for that. I'll definitely be there to watch, and support, the card. But I'd love this. I'll be there to support it. But it is what it is, But I don't know how long the timetable is going to be right now. It's only been a week, so we'll see what happens, and heal up a little bit. And I'm sick right now, which sucks. So.
Oh no, what do you have there? A bit of the flu, a bit of the cold?
Yeah, the sinus, man. Sinus infection. My head's been stuffed all day.
Was it James? Did he put something in your water trying to get you back?
Yeah, when I get done, I see him, I'll push him down and beat him up.
Is it actually a really big deal for Croatia to have this event? How popular is the UFC over there, and how big of a deal is it to the fans to have an event there?
I think it's huge. I think it's going to go crazy a lot. Especially all our neighboring countries too. But Zagreb's such a beautiful city, and it's going to be amazing. I can't wait.
Well, we can't finish this interview on a sour note. So before we have to ask. The Cleveland Cavs are number 1 in the Eastern Conference at the moment. Can they do it? Can they beat the magical Stephen Curry and the Golden State Warriors if they meet in the playoffs again this year?
Yeah, they're fine. I ain't worried.
You're not worried about Curry? He's looking good. People are saying he's one of the best ever. People are saying he's better than Jordan.
We'll see what happens. It's all good. I'm not worried about it. We'll see what happens. We'll talk at the end of the year, at the end of the season.
There you go. Not on Stipe Miocic's watch. Guys, you can follow Stipe on Twitter at Stipe Miocic. He's absolutely hilarious. Make sure you do. And Stipe, congratulations on your big win, and thanks for coming back on the program. We look forward to seeing what's next.
Hey, thanks, guys. Appreciate me having me on. You guys have a great day and Happy New Year.